Hello everyone, greetings and welcome back to another wonderful session of the course titled Academic Speaking and Presentation Skills. In this session, we are going to learn about the most crucial, that is delivering formal presentation. Let's see what we are going to cover in today's topic. Very first, we are going to cover the components of delivering a presentation, right? We are also going to learn steps to deliver a good idea. We are going to know how making presentation is quite necessary to be impactful. We are going to see the tips of making the presentation impactful. We are also going to see that paralinguistic plays a very important role, and therefore we are going to learn the tips of controlling our paralinguistics. We are also going to see how do we handle Q&A session at the end of the presentation. And then lastly, we'll have the 3D model of successful presentation, right? So without wasting the further time, let's move to the first topic, that is component of delivering a presentation. When we speak of components of delivering a presentation, right, if we want to reach to the maximum target, what should be the ideas? First is collecting the research data, right? What should be the steps rather, right? These are why I'm saying these are components, because each one of these will have details, right, that we'll have to go through in depth, and we'll have to take them one at a time, right? So it cannot start from anywhere. You knowing something and trying to share it with others would not make a good presentation. You knowing something completely, right, trying to research, sharing your intriguing ideas with somebody would make a good presentation. But however, it requires multiple things at a time. So these are therefore the components of delivering a good presentation. Let's start with the first one, right? Whatever you see in the circles are the combining qualities that will help you to reach the target audience. First is the research data. Definitely it requires a good research, right? And not stealing from somebody, but rather trying to portray the research, right, that you did, and giving out your own perspective to the research would help you to deliver a good presentation. So first is collecting the data, right? Research for the data that is there out, right? Know what is there in the market. Look out for the discourse that is happening, right? And together you will be able to hold everything, churn it out, right? You will have to mix it, right? Chutnify it. And then after everything that you have received, you will be able to formulate a very good content for your presentation. So then second step is about formulation, that is the chutnification process that we just said, right? With everything that is there available in the hand, good books, good research, good blogs, whatever is happening around, right? What you know, what are your intriguing ideas, you aligning your ideas with the research that is available, mixing all of it together is the second step of formulation. So not just what somebody said, you are directly passing it to somebody else. You are rather going to actually, right, formulate everything step by step so that it makes comprehension to you first, and right, once it is formulated, then we'll take it to the speech. That comes the delivery. So first is researching the data, aligning the data with your own interest would be creating a PPT, right, or would be creating a presentation content. Now it has to be in cohesion to one another, right? It has to be going in the proper direction. Then third comes the speech. Speech is a part where we start delivering the content that we have, right? Be it in the form of presentations of PPT or be it in the form of delivery during a presentation. So what you are saying will also matter a lot, right? So therefore, data, formulation and speech. Then comes appearance. Do you think appearance matters? Of course it does, right? We'll see how wearing different clothes, how wearing different attires, right? Have you seen Narendra Modi? This is just an example illustration, right? Wherever he has been going, right, to different states, he tries to be a part of that culture, right? Be it Assam, he would go and wear that particular, kurta, and there's this drape that he would do with a dupatta kind of a thing, and then he would also wear a cap that is Assamese special, right? So therefore you need to understand that getting along with the audience also matters. And there comes a role. When we say getting along, presentation is not just one person. Again, we go back to the very foundation. Any communication is two-way. So therefore, audience plays a very important role. You need to know, you need to identify who your audience is, and then you will have to accordingly, update yourself, update your content, update your delivery style, update your appearance, the need be, right? And audience is only one uncontrollable factor in the hand. We can try assume over here, but we cannot definitely predict everything that would go in the same manner. So this is, audience is actually a uncontrollable factor during the presentation. And then lastly, what we can control is basically Q&A session for presentation. So after any presentation, there are certain formal process that is taken place, and in that formal process, audience is allowed to question, right, whatever the data is being presented. So nowadays, nobody is, a silent audience. Everyone would like to question you. Everyone would like to have, contradictory views to you, or maybe, just put you into a place where you are able to justify what your ideology is, what your theory is, or what your, knowledge is. So therefore, validating your knowledge, there will definitely be a Q&A session that we will have to take care of. So we are going to try cover wonderful aspects that will help you to master all of the components of the presentations that are there over here. Apart from audience, we'll have everything that we'll be covering in today's presentation. Before moving ahead, you need to know, right? There's a wonderful quote that says, you can have brilliant ideas, but if you can't get them across, right, your ideas won't take you anywhere. So many people you might have seen, having or possessing the quality of being an introvert. This is the time where we open our eyes, right, that it is equally important. It's not that introvert or, who is extrovert or who is introvert, or only these people will be able to speak, or, I belong to those group who have, been considered to be nerds, who are very good with books and writing language. But however, when it comes to presenting my ideas, I am the one who will be baffling people, confusing people, right? That's an old mentality. We need to get above it. This is the time where either you speak out or you will be spoken at. Right? So therefore, you need to understand that you might have brilliant of ideas, right? You could be the next scientist, but what if you cannot deliver that? What if you cannot get your ideas across to the mass? So then, whose loss? Right? We need to stick to this. We need to understand, and that's why, whatever we are going to learn today is going to help us to get our ideas across the large audience. First is, how should I deliver my idea? Right? When we speak about how should I deliver my ideas, the very first and the core is everything. We do not have to assume that it's only us who might have thought about this for the first time. People, yes, definitely have in today's time the habit of Googling certain things out, right? So the moment you have an idea, you try Google it out. And the moment you Google, you will find 10 different people who would have already, said or thought, or maybe have a hint about whatever you are thinking. So the very first point is, have your idea, right? Do not start getting the ideas from the internet or Googling out, right? You have to first have your own idea. That is your own incline, right? That is where you start, seeing your own interest. And once you have your own interest, once you have your own idea, you will have to start collecting the data supporting it, right? Maybe supporting it, maybe contradicting it, right? Both of them are equally important. So to justify your idea, you will have to search out for the data supporting your idea, as well as be very aware and crucial. You cannot prepare only from one end, right? That, okay, I have this idea and this is the proof. What if there are other counter questions that are already being there out in the discourse where people are trying to discuss it, right? You have to be aware about those, try finding answers to those, right? That is matching with your interests. So very first is, yes, why triangle? Because there are various people in the mass who is pointing towards just one thing, that is your interest, right? So you need to find out your ideas over here. Then second step would be formulate it in a proper format, right? So you need to understand that your ideas won't take you anywhere until you formulate it, right? Until you put them in words. And therefore, it is equally important for you to understand that you need to formulate your ideas into the way that it can get out to people. So instead of starting your conversation from anywhere, right, or in middle of something, you could definitely give them the conclusion at the end, right? You know how all the thriller movies work, right? Similarly, you can definitely give a hypothesis that is just your assumption at the very first and then telling others. So there could be various ways. Now it is an individual's choice to actually formulate the ideas the way they want. So second step would be, after collecting all the data, the step of the formulation. But here comes the interesting part, that is delivering, putting your core into it. Until and unless, right? There could be millions of things that could be there in the market that would be telling you to do certain things, right? But until and unless you do not put your inner core over here, the ideas wouldn't stand out. So therefore, it is you, an individual, your own perspective, your own choice, your own interest, your own core that you will have to pour your heart out to something that interests you, especially while connecting to the larger audience. Your emotions, your feelings, your association towards the topic will matter a lot. So this is where you need to give your own input, right? Deliver it in the way that it shows, to make it a whole full circle. So then there is no beginning, there is no end. You had an idea, a pointed idea, you got it from the mass, you collected the data, you formulated it in a wonderful circle. But if you forget to put your own core, again, connecting to the audience, making your delivery successful would be a question. How do we put our core into it? There is a small activity that you would be seeing on the screen, right? This small activity is, I am going to give you 30 seconds of time, right, to count the number of boxes. So your time starts now. Whatever boxes that you see on the screen, you will have to count these boxes. I'll tell you the reason of doing so afterwards. Okay, I believe the time is up, right? So how many of you started counting the box immediately as I have asked you to do, right? How many of you had, before I gave you the instructions, read the particular detail and started counting it? How many of you have got the number 18? How many of you have got the number 36? Or how many of you have got the number greater than 50? Sorry, greater than 50. If you have got close to any of these answers, right, you are the one to be spoken at. When we say and when we decide, right, that you are to do this activity, if any one of you, right, listening to this would have questioned why, that would be, and not counting, just sitting ideally to wait for the response, right, then you have got at the correct place. First is, when we say that you would have to, put your core into it, if you do not have, a researcher's insight, if you do not just, doing whatever is being said, doing whatever is being ordered, doing whatever is being commanded, doing whatever that is being said out, right, in the mass, and following the people in herd would not be a good idea for becoming a good presenter, right? So therefore, questioning whatever is being said is the first step to move ahead. What we are going to see is, that's how you will be able to make an impact. How to make your presentation impactful? The very first is creative thinking. So be unique, be creative, and portray the best that you can. Over here, when I asked you to count the number of box, if you would have thought, multiplying just one line with multiple, right? That's a good way, thinking, differently. But creative thinking start with asking the question, why? When you are doing certain things, why are you doing it? Is it your interest, or is it just because you have been told to, right? Creative thinking, or thinking out of the box, or thinking differently, matters a lot. In any presentation that we have, if you want to make it impactful, if you want to put your core into something, you will have to start thinking creatively, right? Second, we will have to see is use best potential. So how do we use best potential? Believe in yourself and look for inspiration from around, right? Use everything that is there. In today's time, nothing is impossible with the use of AI, with the use of technology, with the use of, so you might not find exactly what you're looking for. Definitely it will require a human input, but technology is the biggest aid in today's time. So use everything, and with that, use your own potential. So instead of fearing, instead of judging, instead of saying that these are the things not to be used by an individual, I would rather suggest that use everything that is there in your hand, that you have the capability of, right? And with it, definitely you will rise. So creative thinking, thinking out of the box, especially utilizing materials, things and potentials that are there around you would also matter. And lastly, when everything is ready, right, you need to speak out loud, right? Leave your fears, state what you believe in and what is in your mind. But what happens when we go speaking out our ideas, right? What happens is 3 out of 5 people fail to elaborate their ideas during presentation. This is true. This is a research data. 65% failed to impress the audience during a presentation, right? And across the world, there are 123 million people who lack confidence in speech during a presentation. So you need to understand that this is basically a huge amount of people who are being affected, right? Whenever it is about presenting your ideas to the mass, to the audience, know that, change begins from today and it begins from home. There are people who I have known who are not even having that confidence to speak about their thoughts, their ideas in front of their own family members, right? If it would be speaking to your father, right, you would always, and that's have been our habit. Indian have been conditioned, or we have been brought up in the way that we'll always use another person, a middleman, right? At our home, it could have been from our childhood, we have been asking our mothers to go and tell whatever we want to our father. We have never been habituated to ask it directly. Yes, today's times are different. People have started evolving. And if you have done that, good, right? We have learned to voice ourselves within the 4 walls of our home. Now is the time that we learn to voice ourselves out in the world, right? And to connect to the audience, it is very much important that you share your ideas with confidence and you share the ideas the way it is supposed to be shared, right? It should not be, enforced upon somebody, especially it should not be, spoken out loud. Third is, it should not be in a way that goes in vain. So you are saying a lot of things, but, nothing is making an impact. Nothing is trying to hold another person. And that's, the worst. You have got the courage, you have gathered the confidence, but whenever you're trying to say something to somebody, your ideas don't get to them. So that's the worst thing that could happen. So, and lastly, if you know that your ideas are failing, you should know to elaborate. So these are the failures and we learn from the failures. So these research data tells you that it's very important for us to learn how to deliver an idea greatly. So many a times what happens is people have always focused on what will speak, right? And that is, yes, I also started the same presentation starting with, gather the research data, right? And with all the research data that you have, you will have to churn it out and whatsoever. So point over here is, what we are going to speak, we must be thorough with the content, right? But always it is not just the content, it is also the mannerism that the content is getting to the audience, and the mannerism comes out of this paralinguistic features, right? What are this paralinguistic features? Linguistics is basically study of a particular language, but whenever you are studying the language, how do you deliver? Not what you speak, but how you speak those things would rather give the intention or the meaning to the words. So therefore, over here we need to learn how, if you want to deliver a good speech, right, if you want to deliver a good presentation, if you have great ideas, you have collected everything, you have substantiated everything, you have the validations, you have the justifications of whatever you are thinking, and your creative ideas will get you to the best place. Wonderful idea, greater than even Einstein. But however, what happens is, we need to now, because it is the time to influence people, right? The role of social media, of course, right? So in this paralinguistic features, the very first aspect that you will have to do is learn the speed, right? Speed of speaking, connecting to the audience. Observe how you are not, I'm not visible on the screen right now, but the tonality, the way that I speak, right? When do I pause? When do I start another, statement? All of this is important. So therefore, just study this paralinguistic. The very first aspect of studying the paralinguistic is speed. Speed definitely is going to give you a big hint. Hint of what? Hint that if the speed is very slow, right? What I want to tell you is, right? Again, there's no tonality, but at the same point of time, after every word, I took a pause, right? And that's where a person is speaking very slow. And in this slow, what they hint is that either you are very doubtful of the content that you are delivering, or at the same point of time, you are not prepared with the topic. So instead of, thinking that it will only get through the audience because it is very difficult topic, and the topic is, into a place where people will not be able to comprehend. You think that speaking something slowly would give them time for the comprehension, right? If you are purposely speaking slow, then also you need to understand that it can go other way around. So tables could be turned, and the audience or whoever the listener are, or the group of people, might think differently for you, rather thinking that you are not confident of whatever you are saying. So therefore, speed plays a very important role, and low speed indicates doubt. Second is high speed. Somebody who is, speaking very hastily, very fast. It is very difficult for an individual or a group of people, whoever are listening to the person, to comprehend what the person is saying. You will have to try keep a catch of it, right? And whatever the moment you try to note down something, there's another point, again there's something else, right? So if the person is not taking pauses, if the person is not breathing while speaking, you will get to know it, and you will know that it only comes out of anxiety, it only comes out of fear, it is very unnatural. It might indicate also could be the person very overconfident, right? So could be both, right? It could increase suspicions, anxiety, feels unnatural, but at the same point of time, out of all the fears, it could be towards the other point of extreme. Last is the natural pace, which is exactly how we are talking, right? Our natural pace is the best way to give a presentation. So neither go very slow, neither go very fast. Don't be in the haste to finish the presentation. At the same point of time, do not even think that you will consume, more time you will consume, the better you will look out, right? More your content would reflect. Rather, you will have to think that speaking in an appropriate pace, right, that is speed, will take you definitely, and speaking it through your natural pace will definitely take you to a high road. Third is the pitch. What is pitch, right? Many of us have different pitch. Do you know why Amitabh Bachchan has got an insurance, only not for the whole self. Yes, definitely he would have a whole medical insurance for himself, but he has got a special insurance in dollars, that if anything would happen to his voice, right, he would be paid in abundance. He's prayed so much, he's well known so much, and since the very beginning of his career, he's still right now, in media and in the field of acting. Why? Because his speech has played a very important role, right? His voice quality and the way he utilizes it. So what is pitch? Basically, the way you throw your voice out, right? Many of us might have very high pitch, many of us might have very low pitch. So there are people who would speak like this, and there are people who would speak like this. So heavy voice or very minute or low, pitch. What happens is that it's, very high pitch. When people usually use high pitch is when they are angry or they are in aggression. What did I say to you, right? And I cannot definitely shout in this mic, but however, you got the idea what high pitch means, right? Low pitch is tired, low in health, or maybe just hoarse throat. So therefore you need to work on your pitch, right? Making an omkar sound every day in the morning would be a good help to improve your pitch. So it doesn't matter if you have got a coarse throat from the very beginning, your tonality, your voice pitch is high from the very beginning or low from the very beginning, right? You can definitely improve it through the period of time. And how? By practicing the omkar sounds, and there are various other activities that are available. You can just search it out, right? And then again, there is a normal pitch, which is very calm and composed. So neither speak very loudly nor speak very swiftly, right? But speak at the natural pitch that you possess. Then comes the tone, monotone and varying tone, right? Monotone is, as I want to read this presentation, I would read that paralinguistic features are not what you speak, but how you speak. Paralinguistic features has speed, has speech, and has tone. This is just illustrating it, right? Do not mock me, but this is monotone. It cannot go in this way, right? Whenever you are delivering a presentation, or maybe you are delivering a speech, or you want to connect to somebody, you have to be your very own person, right? You have to choose a varying tone. You don't talk to people in this tone, so you cannot definitely deliver a speech in that tone, right? Varying tone is going upside down, right? Varying tone definitely will, be pleasant not only to hear. You would have seen people, going and falling off to sleep in the midst of presentation, or many people yawn in the midst of presentation. It is you who can capture the attention of people through your varying tone. So it has to remain pleasant, and at the same point of time, if it is natural, if it is varying, it will make more comprehension, right? It will be more understand. Otherwise, it's very dull. So know that to deliver a good speech, to deliver and connect a good presentation and connect to your audience, you need to understand the paralinguistic features. Body movements while you are presenting, and your presentations, during your presentations you're visible, you have to be very aware about your postures. It cannot be slouching. Slouching is when your spine or your back bone is not straight, right? So it would hint what? That you are low spirited person, that you might be depressed, or that you might not be interested, right? Or you are not willing to work out, or maybe that it's just you are doing whatever you are doing for the sake of doing it. So therefore there could be various things that your postures could hint. So be very careful that you do not slouch. Again, while giving a presentation, people have this habit, right? If they do not have the paper in hand, if they do not have, and it's just the mic, what they would do is they will put a mic into a particular position and they will cross their hands. Why? Because it is very disciplined. Why? Because it is very, audience specific. So therefore, cross your hands. But those who know and have the knowledge of these body movements would definitely think that you are just there to state your ideas. You are not not to communicate, you are not to connect. So therefore, whatever your intentions are, please see to it very nicely that you are not standing how the person in the image is standing at the very between, right? So this person over here is standing with the crossed arms, right? It represents what? Closed mind. It is defensive. It is again aggressive. I don't agree to whatever is being said. So whenever you are not agreeing to what others say, or if you are closed, right, you do not want to accept people's point of view, but just throw your point of view upon them, right? That is the time where subconsciously your body would cross the arms. So no crossing the arms, right? No folding your arms, and keeping them open, keeping them natural. While you are speaking, if it comes out, it comes out, right? And that's how it is supposed to be. So open arms and smiling, open to communication, right? You are ready to communicate. You are not just ready to speak, right, or talk. So then comes the last part, right? Audience, as we say, it is an uncontrollable factor. So then lastly, what we can control is the Q&A session. How do we handle Q&A session? Until and unless you have not researched well, until and unless you do not have the data well to substantiate yourself, it could be a problem. So very first thing that we could do is, when people or when the audience is seeking for, is having doubts, it's having questions, then you need to understand that you will have to do only one thing, that is research, and it cannot be on the day of presentation. It has to be prior to it. So therefore, well in advance you will have to prepare yourself for it. But while you are answering, what you could do is you can listen carefully and seek for the clarification if you do not get the question right. Do not just answer anything, right? Q&A session, people loses their score in Q&A session, not because they have not spoken, but because they have spoken not the correct answer. So therefore, please, at the very first thing you have to do is listen to the question carefully and seek for clarification if you do not understand. Then what you have to do and keep in mind is that you will have to illustrate, the answers. Give examples. If they do not understand the content directly, examples would help them. Your evidences would help them to get more clarity regarding whatever you have spoken. You have to remain positive, right? Be positive, so that even if there are going to be people in the audience that will target you, that will not have the same mentality or ideology as you carry, while you are going to put your core, it is very natural for you to state things which you believe in, and there might be people who have alternative view to what you have. So then there would be criticism that you would be faced with. So not after every presentation people are going to clap. Definitely they are not going to throw tomatoes or eggshells, but you have to be very careful when you are faced with criticism facing the audience, right? You will have to take it constructively and you have to remain positive. You can say that yes, this is just my point of view. You can definitely have your own opinion and you have a full right to not agree upon the statements said. Or you can say that I take note of whatever is being said and I'll try research out, I'll find out a different way. That would be a positive response. That could be a good way to moving away from criticism, right? Constructive criticism is a good way to reflect during your Q&A session. Then you will have to understand to keep the answer specific and brief. Right? Whenever a question is said, what happens is, to the very first question, the person would keep answering the question for a long period of time, and then the other person who is interested, who is willing to question you, would drop the point. That's saying, he is speaking at a very length, I don't know, I'll just rather Google it out or search it out, and I don't want to ask him. So though you are the subject master, though you have, given out the whole presentation, you might have intrigued certain insights into different people, you would miss out on listening what those insights are. So be answer specific and respond in a brief time, right? Take time to respond is what? Do not hurry. Respond in a brief time. You will have to be concise, you will have to be precise, but at the same point of time, the moment you are faced with the question, do not jump in to answer it, right? Think, comprehend, get clarification if the need be, right? You can paraphrase the question. This is what you were asking. So then again, that question, paraphrasing the question, will buy you the time to answer the same, right? So therefore, take time, respond, smile, initiate a conversation with a limerick or a joke or something like that, lighten the mood, and then you can respond. So yes, definitely we'll have to respond in brief moment of time, but at the same point of time, it is always good to engage in the way that people connect, and not that the people deflect from the point. So therefore, it could be a good tip. And then your answers must also reflect, what you speak. Speak clearly, smile, and show enthusiasm, right? Enthusiasm is what you are ready to face any question, right? So that people, many times it happens that presenters have great ideas, they present well, but they are not ready to question. You have to be very careful that you are open, keep smiling, say that yes, promote questions, right? That will help you also to get a, deeper insight into the same topic. You might not have thought it the same way, and somebody else is giving you a different perspective altogether. So be open to it, right? Speak clearly and with enthusiasm, greet people. Know why you want to say and find the opportunity to say it. Instead of enforcing every of your idea into the presentation, it would be very good idea to take your time at a specific time, targeting a specific question you can answer wonderfully. So that's how we move towards the end, right, of 3D model of success. What is 3D model of success? Everyone wants to have success in their life, right? Especially when they are presenting. So therefore, to present well, right, you need to understand, right, that demonstration of your knowledge, demonstration of your ideas play a very crucial role, right? 3D model of success is what? First, D stands for demonstration. Second, D stands for a good defense that you can make for yourself, presenting your answers. And then at the same point of time, you will also develop questions for yourself. So if you are not faced with the questions from the audience, right, and if you want to, yes, definitely you will be facing questions from the audience if it is a proper presentation, right? But at the same point of time, you need to prepare the questions yourself so that your knowledge or maybe your interest that you have in a specific field is not paused. It's not the end, right? You yourself can throw certain questions, insightful questions from your own, maybe your PPT content or your preparations that you have made, and you can throw it to the audience saying that these are the points, these are things that I already know now, these are the points that you will have to think further on. So demonstrate well, right? Defend your points well. Always have an answer to the question, especially while you are presenting something. It is very important for you to, take things lightly, take things positively, and at the same point of time, respond with, the way it is supposed to be. So therefore, this is the 3D model. Demonstrate your knowledge well, defend yourself well, and develop questions further to whatever is being said. That would be a 3D model towards success. So people know that there is a scope in this, topic. There is a scope in this particular thing that is being presented, and then they themselves would be, inclined towards connected. They'll remain connected to you, and that would be a good way to go ahead. So 3D model of success of any presentation is not just demonstrating the idea to the mass. It's definitely not just, being good in the defense, but it's also about what are the further prospects to it. So that's how, we end this today's session of knowing how to deliver a presentation in the wonderful way, or formal way rather. So summary of the presentation is that, presentation is not just about expressing your ideas, but also about expressing yourself to somebody else. So if you think that presentation is only your ideas, right, it's not that. It's not only your ideas, it's not only somebody else's ideas, it is about expressing your own self to the huge audience, and therefore you have to be very careful with everything, with the body movements, to your expressions, to your, paralinguistics, to your content. How do you deliver your content, right? So during a presentation, it is necessary to be alert and vigilant. Yes, definitely you have to be alert about what are the things that are being being said by the people, how are their responses. If you find that you are going and taking things at a particular length, you have to be vigilant identifying the audience, and that could only be at the moment of presentation. It can only be to the point, right? So at the very point of giving the presentation, you have to be alert, but at the same time, you can feel relaxed, you can smile out, and you can definitely take things in a lighter way, instead of saying that this is a huge topic and putting a lot of burden onto them. It is always good to deliver something in a what do you say, in a lighter tone, right? In bringing out inquisitiveness would be rather more important, and would benefit a presenter than enforcing the ideas upon straight away. So therefore, that and presentation is actually a threefold process. We have known it now, right? Giving any formal presentation, it requires three important things, and it goes with three important phrases. Which are these three important phrases? First is the process of preparation, second is the process of delivery, and last is handling the Q&A session nicely, right? So understand this and prepare for all the three stages. That will help you. So thank you so much for holding your patience throughout, and we'll learn tips to deliver a good presentation in the next session. So thank you so much. See you in the next session.